Yeah, James could have handled it differently, but to James' credit, Chris went down for a while, and James kind of went turbo nuclear.
You know him probably better than anybody over the last couple of years, at least. Does James Harden get a bad rap for all of his failures and shortcomings with his teammates? Is it unwarranted? And to recap, the issues with James, the issues with Chris Paul, the issues with Russell Westbrook, his friend. If I try to be honest, when I read articles and I see things and you hear about what James was saying behind the scenes, you really felt like James really does care about basketball and he really does want to win, but maybe he goes about it a bit more selfishly than others. Yeah, he cares about stats and everything. I don't know what to think. I hear Joel Blank, former co-host of mine on The Usual Suspects, talking about how he was as a player. Does he get a bad rap or is it warranted?
I mean, some of it is obviously warranted. He could have handled things much better with the Chris Paul situation. We all know how that turned out. Chris had his way of leadership, James had his, and I think the whole situation of them trying to get over the hump is what added to the intensity of the. Obviously, playing the Warriors and how big and bad those guys were. James and Chris were desperate to beat them, and they didn't get it done. And when you lose, it kind of compounds all the other smaller situations going on behind the scenes. So, yeah, James could have handled it differently, but to James' credit, Chris went down for a while, and James kind of went turbo nuclear. And when Chris came back, at that point, it was already clearly James's team at that point, and they were playing to James's beat. And Chris, still being the prideful guy he is, still wanting to do things his way. There could have been an easier understanding there, but it's not all on James. I want to say that because it takes two to tango. Chris also has his own stubbornness as well. Now with Russ, obviously the whole situation with the Lakers and the bubble, the whole year is just weird. But I don't think that James necessarily wanted Russ gone in that sense. But James was kind of thinking about his own mortality and his own career and his own longevity, and he wants to win a championship. And while he would love to win with his good friend Russ, at the end of the day, you kind of have to look up for yourself in this league. So I think in those two situations, you kind of see everyone's going to point out that there's only going to be one constant, which is James and Dwight, Chris, Russ. But it's not like the other three guys were without fault. So I do think it's a bit of both.
Fair enough.
Daddy's making a YouTube video!